Is there a place for teaching religion in public schools? By Jamie Vanderpool. Why this topic matters today. Ongoing debates over religion's role in public education, increased religious and cultural diversity in schools, legal and ethical concerns around church state separation, need for religious literacy in a globalized society, balancing constitutional rights with inclusive learning. Students need the tools to understand a world shaped by faith, belief systems, and secularism. Educators face legal, ethical, and practical challenges in deciding what is appropriate to teach. Understanding religion's role in history, literature, and global conflict is key to producing informed citizens. Teaching religion versus teaching about religion. So the teaching religion in the gold circle says faith formation, devotion, and personal beliefs. And then in the blue circle, it's teaching about religion, history, culture, and literature. And then the overlapping portion in the light blue is shared vocabulary, sensitive topics. Teaching religion equals religious instruction or promoting faith, unconstitutional in public schools. Teaching about religion equals academic, neutral exploration of beliefs, practices, and influence. Legal distinction. U.S. courts permit education about religion, not devotion or worship. Purpose. Develop understanding, not faith. Historical context, religion, and public education in the U.S. So the timeline that you see on the right-hand side, it begins religious and public education in the U.S. It begins in 1791 with the First Amendment. Then in 1963, we have Engel versus Vitale. And then we have the Abington versus Schmepp. And then in 1971, we have the Lemon versus Kurtzman. Early American schools were deeply influenced by Protestant Christianity. Bible reading and prayer were common practices in public schools until the 1960s. The First Amendment in 1791 prohibits establishment of religion by the government. Landmark cases 1962 through 1971 redefined boundaries of religion in schools. Shift from religious instruction to secular, inclusive education. The legal framework. Key legal cases that we discussed in the last slide. Engel versus Vitale in 1962, school-led prayer ruled unconstitutional. The Supreme Court ruled 6-1 that official prayer in public schools is unconstitutional, reinforces the separation of church and state. The Abington School District versus Schempp in 1963 banned Bible readings and Lord's Prayer in public schools. The Lemon versus Kurtzman in 1971 created the Lemon test to assess constitutionality of religious activities in school. And the Lemon test, 1 was secular purpose, 2 primary effect, and then 3 was the excessive entanglement. So I will first discuss the pros of religion in public schools, and they will all be in the red titles. And then I will discuss the cons with the blue titles. So the first with the pros is promotes cultural literacy. If students are to function as globally competent citizens, they need to understand the role religion plays in the world. By Diane L. Moore from the Harvard Divinity School. What is cultural literacy? Cultural literacy is the ability to understand, respect, and engage with diverse cultural practices, including religious beliefs that shape individuals and societies. Why is this important in public schools? The U.S. is increasingly diverse religiously and culturally. Religion plays a critical role in history, literature, art, ethics, law, and global events. Without basic religious literacy, students may misinterpret global conflicts, misunderstand cultural practices, or harbor biases. It is impossible to understand world history, literature, or even current events without understanding the religious traditions that shape them. Teaches morality and ethics. Religious illiteracy is rampant in the United States. It fuels prejudice and bigotry and hinders efforts at promoting respect across differences. Religion has historically shaped moral codes, ethical systems, and social values in nearly every citizen. Some educators and scholars argue that academic exposure to religious perspectives can support the development of character and ethical reasoning without endorsing any belief system. It allows students to explore universal values, which are compassion, justice, forgiveness, honesty, and respect for others. Another pro would be supports the religious freedom. Teaching students about religion without promoting or practicing it can help preserve religious freedom by fostering understanding, reducing prejudice, and ensuring equal representation in public education. The First Amendment guarantees freedom of religion. Students may believe or not believe. Prohibition against government establishment of religion. Teaching about religion can strengthen the principles of religious freedom by promoting inclusion, understanding, and respect for diversity, all without violating constitutional boundaries. The goal is not to promote religion, but to promote understanding. Teaching about religion is permissible. Promoting a specific religion is unconstitutional. Prepares students for a global society. How schools can foster global citizenship through religion education. Courses like world religions, global ethics, or cultural and belief systems, interdisciplinary connections, religion in history, art, music, and geography. Projects that encourage cross-cultural empathy and communication. Less than 20% of U.S. teachers report feeling adequately trained to teach about religion in a constitutional and balanced way. The chart there shows the religions in the world and their percentages. Precedents and successes. Public schools can teach about religion effectively and constitutionally when they follow clear legal and academic guidelines. These successful models provide students with valuable knowledge while respecting diversity and the law. What real-world public school programs have in common: legal compliance, follows First Amendment and court rulings. Teacher training. Educators are taught how to approach religion neutrally. Curriculum design, based on global religions and culture, not theology. Parent engagement includes outreach and opt-out options if requested. 58% of Americans believe that teaching world religions in public schools increases understanding and tolerance. Knowledge about religions is not only a characteristic of an educated person, but is necessary for effective participation in a pluralistic democracy. Now we'll go to the cons, or the negative aspect of religion in public schools. Church and state separation concerns. Statistics and public opinion. 69% of Americans believe religion has too much influence in politics and government. 48% oppose allowing teachers to lead discussions on religious doctrines, fearing bias. In the section in the lower left, it discusses risk and the explanation. Legal challenge. Risk of violating the First Amendment and facing lawsuits. Religious favoritism. Perceived endorsement of a dominant religion. Student discomfort undermines inclusivity for students of minority faiths or non-religious beliefs. Loss of neutrality challenges the role of public education as a secular civic institution. The risk of covert endorsement is high. Even well-meaning efforts to present religion neutrally can result in perceptions of bias. Legal liability. Dozens of lawsuits have been filed over perceived religious bias or violation of church-state separation in public schools. Settlements can result in district fines, mandatory staff training, damaged school community trust. Risk of indoctrination or bias. Key concerns from critics. Teacher bias, intentional or unintentional. Teachers may inadvertently present certain beliefs more positively than others. Even neutral teachers may face pressure from the community or administrators. Imbalanced curriculum. Some religion courses focus heavily on Christianity, especially in regions where it's culturally dominant. Students from minority religions or non-religious backgrounds may feel excluded or invalidated. Developmental appropriateness. Young children may not distinguish between historical, cultural, education, and faith-based truth claims. This raises ethical concerns about imposing belief systems during formative years. Classroom power dynamics. Students may feel pressured to conform, even when participation is technically optional. Knowledge about religions is essential for understanding human history and culture. It must be taught from an academic, not devotional perspective. Student rights and diversity. Public schools should not become battlegrounds for religious agendas. The Constitution requires neutrality. Key arguments. Religious diversity in schools. U.S. classrooms now include students who identify as Christian, with various denominations, Jewish, Muslim, Hindu, Buddhist, Sikh, atheist, agnostic, spiritual but not religious. As of 2024, nearly 40% of U.S. teens identify as something other than Christian. Marginalization of minority faiths. When world religions are taught, Christianity often dominates due to familiarity. Less coverage of religions like Sikhism, indigenous beliefs, or Baha'i can leave students feeling invincible or othered. Non-religious students often are overlooked. Secular or atheist students may feel discomfort or exclusion, especially if religious values are embedded into classroom discussions or examples. 13% of U.S. teens identify as atheists and 17% as agnostic or unaffiliated. Risk of stereotyping. Superficial or inaccurate overviews of religion can reinforce cultural or racial stereotypes, especially for Islam, Judaism, or indigenous traditions. Teachers without proper training might unintentionally misrepresent belief systems, offending students or families. Equity and belonging. The central concern is whether all students feel respected and seen in curriculum content. Teaching about religion without cultural sensitivity can conflict with schools' DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion goals. Parental authority. Parents have a fundamental right to direct the upbringing and education of their children. Parents have a legal and ethical role in influencing their children's education. Some parents object to religious instruction, fearing bias or conflict with family beliefs. Opt-out policies vary by state and district for lessons or religion or sensitive content. Debate centers on who decides curriculum content, educators or families. Courts often uphold parental rights, but balance them with educational standards. 63% of U.S. adults believe parents should have a say in what their children are taught in public school. Legal and practical challenges. Even well-intentioned efforts to include religion in public education can lead to legal conflicts when lines between teaching about religion and promoting religious beliefs are blurred. These challenges often raise First Amendment concerns. While religion has cultural and academic relevance, poor implementation or biased practices invite lawsuits, strain school resources, and damage trust among diverse communities. Proactive clarity and training are essential for legal compliance. Even in multicultural societies, tolerance does not mean full integration of religious instruction into public curricula. The chart on the left-hand side is the number of major legal cases on religion in public schools, ranging from 1960s all the way to 2023. And you can see that there is a great increase as the years go on, from the beginning to now. Common ground. While opinions differ on how or if religion should be addressed in public education, many stakeholders agree on core educational values that foster understanding, respect, and inclusion, all without violating legal boundaries. Examples of common ground in action. Elective courses. Schools offering world religions as an elective, where participation is voluntary and the curriculum is inclusive. Interfaith clubs, student-led clubs fostering dialogue and shared service projects supported under the Equal Access Act. Inclusive holiday policies, schools recognizing diverse traditions without endorsing one particular faith. With clear guidelines and mutual respect, schools can foster environments where religion is neither silenced nor imposed, and all students feel valued and understood. Case studies or real-world examples. So there are positive case studies, and there's this on the left-hand side, and there's a summary and highlights and the impact. And then a quote at the bottom is, Modesto is the only district we know of that requires a religious literacy course and does it well. So that is a positive situation, and you can, it's a case that was a study that was done. Modesto City Schools is the only public school district, that requires ninth graders to complete a world religious course. So the impact was that it increased students' tolerance and understanding of religious diversity, endorsed by the First Amendment Center as a model program. On the right-hand side, we had the controversial case study, which was Coach Kennedy prayer case. The high school football coach, Joseph Kennedy, was placed on leave for praying at midfield after games, leading to a major Supreme Court case. Kennedy claimed that he prayed privately. Districts saw it as a public endorsement of religion. The lawsuit argued it violated the Establishment Clause. The outcome was that the Supreme Court ruled in Kennedy's favor, stating that he had a constitutional right to pray. The statistic down at the bottom is 58% of Americans worried that the ruling could allow more public school employees to promote personal religious views. Student perspectives. It's not about teaching kids what to believe, but teaching them how belief systems shape the world. Student voices. Learning about world religions helped me understand my classmates better. It's important that no one feels left out or pressured to believe something. Parent perspectives. Many parents support religious literacy, especially when it's framed around cultural understanding and global citizenship. Concerns are most often tied to loss of neutrality, fear of favoritism towards dominant religions, lack of opt-out policies or transparency. So we have the public opinion or public opinion on religion in public schools, the chart that's on the left-hand side. So the biggest concern is the support teaching about world religions academic. So that is the public opinion. There's 48%. 12% were concerned about bias or indoctrination. 18% support voluntary religious expression. And 22% oppose all religious content in schools. The conclusion. The public school is not the enemy of religion, nor is it the handmaiden. It is the place where knowledge is pursued, differences respected, and understanding fostered. Adapted from the First Amendment Center. Summary of key insights. Teaching about religion, objectively and academically, is distinct from promoting religious beliefs. Legal precedents emphasize neutrality, not exclusion, allowing room for inclusive, informative instruction on religion's role in history, literature, and culture. Supporters argue that religion education builds cultural literacy, character, and global awareness. Opponents warn of potential indoctrination, legal violations, and the risk of alienating students from minority or non-religious backgrounds. The references include these 12 references, and that would conclude my PowerPoint